Yeah, she get to the cash when she walk. She look like a bad when she walk. She get to the cash when she walk. She look like a bad when she walk. Girl, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Girl, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Yeah, we get to it, got it stocked up, popped up, got her hand all rocked up. Like 1 carat, 2 carat, more carats. She look carrots like a bunny, got her hops up. Don't care for designer, got her own drip. Don't care for the phones, got her own.
What's the matter with?
I have to throw up every time it goes up.
Up or down?
Both. Up is the worst.
Why don't you can just throw up all there?
Just do it, right? At least you didn't have anything to eat. We didn't eat yet.
Yeah, right?
You don't have to throw up.
But hey, when you throw, did you get to taste your food the second time?
Yeah, but it tastes worse because there's stomach contents with it.
Oh wait. Is that cool when you get to taste your food the second time? No? Okay.
You like fighting entirely too much. God.
She look like a bad when she walk. Girl, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Girl, do it, do it, do it.
What up, peeps? Make sure we ain't too crazy on the audio. Yep. Just listen to my chair a good bit. Last time I was muted for some reason. Trying to be too careful, I guess. So I did start a few minutes early, so we'll, as always, fart around, right? So yep, rare stream. I had the day off, so took care of some stuff early, ran my errands I had to do, chit-chatted with Hef. Gotta always mention Hef, right? Everybody loves Hef on Discord. Yeah. So then I say, why not? Let's do a stream instead of finding some project outside to go sweat my yin off. Have to wait for that time before the whole YouTube doesn't get pissed for saying certain words. But this isn't a kid channel anyway, right? Who cares if we don't get monetized? And I'm gonna miss that $2. So Boiler Boy, always hopping on a flight to Austin. Cool. So jump right into it. I know Rasby talked about the Bluetooth stuff, and I'll be flat out honest. It was more. I know they started that Bluetooth stuff inside Home Assistant a couple versions ago, and that was more. I can say it's more for the VM or the HAOS stuff, and trying to run it in the Docker container, it was just a massive rabbit hole of drivers and making sure the Blue service was started and loaded and started. It was just, yeah. It works, but it was a pain in the butt. And I kind of talked about it in another live stream with that crappy NS panel thing. But, let me pull this up. Where is this? So in the current beta, and I know everyone doesn't want to go run beta, and I sure don't on my production stuff. But yeah, that's the exact issue I have with this, Patrick, in a way, but they kind of fixed it. So, if you ever go, if you don't know where the beta notes are at, and they do post it on their GitHub and stuff like that. And if you go to the RC Home Assistant IO, you can find the beta release notes, and just they're going to change a lot. You'll find stuff that's not finished and not edited and everything. But the cool part, because it's cool and stuff, right, is they had this, what caught my eye, and I know Texters talked about it in Discord, and I think Enfi mentioned it as well. And I was like, ooh, this fixes that issue. It's much like that same issue that some people run into with trying to pass in USB ports for Zigbee coordinators, and I know they have some issues with different VMs and stuff we're trying to do, and it becomes a pain. And that's where like those Ethernet-based Zigbee coordinators, like the tubes one, that's where they really shine, because it's just using IP. And if you don't get IP out of your home assistant, then probably not a whole lot works. So it works pretty much for everyone in that aspect. So the Bluetooth proxy, I was like, ooh, that's freaking awesome. And what this page is this loads like pre-made bin files for these different, generic ESP32. They got the M5 stack, which is just ESP32. And then you've also got the little, if I say it right, Olimex. I do have one of the Olimex that I've got it's a PoE. They are kind of expensive. And if you haven't seen one, this is what they're kind of expensive. It's just basically an ESP32. If I can try and get the glare out of it, ESP32 on the top, and then there is a power over Ethernet, adapter on it. And I want to say they're like $35 or $40 for this, and there's no case to it. You have to get your own case type thing. I did find they are get kind of warm, but this one is fully isolated that I got. But for this, now this is probably the better solution because the Wi-Fi is not competing with the Bluetooth if you're using this for this Bluetooth gateway. But I just, out of curiosity, I said, hey, let's just use a regular ESP32 on Wi-Fi and see how it does. Now, do pay attention. I know Patrick's talking about is this right here. Only works on the regular ESP32. So that's not going to be the Solo, which is in those Lenkine switches. I'm trying to think what's the other Solo. Oh, the Shelly Plus stuff is Solo. And the C3. So like the SwitchBot plugs, the SwitchBot bulbs, that's none of that. So probably the best thing to do is just go get a regular dev board. I mean, you can go probably get a dev board that's ESP32 off of AliExpress, Amazon, or whatever for like $4 to $5. Yeah, that's single. I know you can get it probably less than $10. So, and then just plug it up through, a USB charger and call it a day. Now, what I did was I found this pull request, and it was this is actually where they're talking about, now I need to pull the thing up. This pull request into Home Assistant itself, and they talk about how to test it. And I don't like to just go flash. I know they're ESP Home guys, but I wanted to go see exactly what it does. So it was cool that he had the copy and paste stuff right here. Yeah, exactly, James. This solves kind of everything. Now, of course, I'm going to be picky. I wish we could, and maybe there's a way. I will be picky that I wish we could make a Tasmota device become the Bluetooth proxy. I'm never going to say never, but, the whole ESP Home is all one together in bed with HA, so I understand that. So what I did was just I took this out of the grave because Blairy kind of killed my ESP32 Bluetooth adapter. I just hadn't used it. I hadn't needed to. And I went ahead and added, let me zoom in so y'all can see. I went ahead and added this I just copy and pasted what they had out of that pull request, and then I installed it on my ESP32. And so... Oh, I see. You said can't comment on stream. Okay, I know. I do have it set for the 1 minute deal because it just keeps the trolls, not trolls, all this trying to post the damn porn links on damn YouTube. He's like, go join this porn site and everything. So taking over the damn chat. So it should let you come in quickly. Let's because Balub is actually posting on things. Pretty cool. So he's on Discord. I can change that and I can change it back if we don't get. This is what he was talking about. So maybe he'll be in quickly. You can call me into the stream too. Oh, did you want to do that? Guess we could do it. We could jump in and pull it into I guess like with Discord video or something like that. We could do that if everybody will pardon the dealing with trying to get everybody in. Yeah, let's do that. Y'all maintain. I don't know. We'll play. You can play a video or something for the time being, right? Let's see. This is called Doing It Live, right? All right. I gotta bring him up to the top. So I gotta bring in your audio and stuff. So give me a second here. Let's see if anybody can.
I muted you on the live stream now.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I hear myself.
Yep. Let's see. Is it gonna do be able to hear the audio? Let's see.
Test.
I should be able to hear Paulus. I can see it now.
Yeah, but I also heard myself.
Okay.
But I guess it works.
Yep. Let me pull the video the video in. Yep. Let me pull the video. Yeah, I can hear my echo a little bit. It'll be all right. Let's see. Discord. We have it.
I'll just mute myself whenever I'm not speaking to avoid the echo.
Yeah, usually I have a other window with Discord on here, but it is not pulling up for some reason. See if I can just add a new capture and I'll get you in that way. Capture method. Let me grab my display 3. And we'll try to truncate you down. It should pull up and we'll the fun of not getting this prepared beforehand, right? But everybody wants the man of the hour. Well, they will wait, right? Oh. Let's see if we can do this. And, oh, I know what I did wrong. I didn't do the pop-out thing. That's what I did wrong. And why it's not coming up. So we'll take this off. I was wondering why it wouldn't come up. I forgot one step, and I had it already set up. All right. So I think I have you. I'll try to center you up a little bit. I got you off to the side or whatever. Is your audio working now? Let's see. Say something.
Yeah, my audio is probably working. I
Yep.
myself.
Yeah, I gotta edit the transform a little bit. But so what were you while I do that? What you were just talking about in the chat, you were saying some of the about the different ESP32s?
Yeah, so I think it should be all compatible with all the ESPs that ESP Home supports. It's just that for the installers, we limit it to just the base ESP32.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's gonna.
So I'm trying to I lowered now the volume of the YouTube video, but it also means I hear you less.
Oh, yeah. I can do the what I've done before is I'll start I'll do the virtual camera. And I've done this before.
Actually, this should be fine. Now it doesn't echo back into the microphone. I will hear myself twice, but that's okay.
So yeah, so I did start you should be able to see the OBS stuff to stream actually on the Discord camera as well. So that's another way I found. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, this works perfect. Yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll start back up. So,
Bluetooth.
Yeah, I James, I was not expecting a special guest either. So definitely thanks for jumping on real quick. So.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I got the Discord mention when you said I'm starting a live stream, and I saw you were talking about Bluetooth. So we've spent a lot of time on Bluetooth over the last month, just fine tuning it and these kind of things. So I'm glad that you're excited about it, because we definitely are. Yeah,
definitely. Because I've been doing some stuff, with some of the Bluetooth sensors and everything, and doing it with the ESP32. And I run just the core container and had a bunch of issues with the drivers and trying to make sure stuff was loaded. And I was like, there needs to be a way we can do something much like they do with the ESP32 based Zigbee controllers, where just by IP. And then when I saw the beta release news, I was like, oh, they're doing it. This is going to be awesome.
It is, and so this is actually still very early on. So we only forward the discovery packets, right? So there's two parts of Bluetooth Low Energy that's being used. You have the discovery packet, so that's how sensor data comes in, the Mi Flora stuff. The next step is going to be active connections, because we want to be able, for example, you put an ESP32 next to your Yale lock, and you'll be able to control it from Home Assistant through ESP Home, through Bluetooth, and open your lock.
Yeah. Now, my first question is, because I know, and I'm going to ask, can you do multiple ESP32s?
Yes. You can do multiple ESP32s, and it will automatically kind of switch to the one with the best connection. It will take those packets, prioritize. We've noticed that sometimes Wi-Fi networks get overwhelmed if you have too many ESP32s, because they're all kind of catch the packets and are forwarding it. So we're actually working on adding some filtering to it. So we only forward data of the things that we're interested in, plus the ones that we kind of haven't seen before, because we want to still offer discovery. because like automatic discovery is a big part of this. So you put these proxies like throughout your house, you're gonna find everything in your house and all your neighbors because it's not Bluetooth. So, but you have to just ignore a bunch, and some you accept, and then those will be continued forwarding. But when your neighbors start brushing their teeth, you don't want that packet also being forwarded to your house, for example.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. Like, I guess do that. You're gonna do filtering like by like Mac ID or something like that.
Yeah, and this will all happen automatically for you under the hood, right? So you don't do actually yourself. Home Assistant will make sure that this is like optimized. But then, I mean, you were just mentioning the Olimax, right? These guys.
Yeah.
And they're great because it's Ethernet, right? So our installer is set up to not use the Wi-Fi at all. It just forwards everything over the Ethernet cable, and then there's no you don't block your Wi-Fi network with so much traffic.
Yeah, I mean, because like exactly what I was saying, that they don't. You don't just have it's more of a dedicated Bluetooth gateway instead of that the ESP trying to flip back in. Some people don't know it, but the ESP chip, well, I know there's one, but I haven't seen it out there. It looks like a t-shirt with the two antennas, but the ESP is actually switching back and forth real quickly, and it could miss stuff probably. So this is definitely the better solution where you have the Ethernet backbone. It's much like trying to do the Sonoff bridge stuff over Wi-Fi and the Zigbee. It's just, you've got competing technologies, and why not do it over wired? So
right. Well, it's also because it's all on the same radio frequency, right? It's all 2.4 gigahertz, which is already congested bandwidth. Like everything is on there.
Yep. Yeah.
There's actually a nice on our installer page. We actually have a case linked for this one. Let me disconnect my other one. I have it here.
Yeah, I saw the case. Raspy's picking on me over here. That's actually my development Home Assistant, Raspy. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it looks solid. Like it's just a 2-piece case. It clicks in, doesn't move anymore. The heat can go out through the vents and the holes on the side, and yeah.
Yeah, because it does get, with the PoE version, it does get kind of warm. So,
right. Yeah.
I know. Y'all gonna plan? I know I got the page up here. I'll zoom it in for folks. There's that other one. It's like was it wireless tag, ESP32 with the Ethernet? I think it is. You've seen that one?
I haven't. There was this. It's always a bit tricky because there's this other Olimax. It's quite popular. It has like some relays on it and has Ethernet. It doesn't have power over Ethernet, I think. But basically, we need to pre-compile ESP home configurations for this website. And so we need to choose, are we going to use the Ethernet port? Or are we going to use the Wi-Fi port? So with power over Ethernet, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to use Ethernet. But if it's not clear, then, I'm not sure if we should promote it on this website. So because this is really just pre-compiled ESP home binaries, right? You could, like you were going to do in the ESP home dashboard, that's going to be the same experience, except that you can actually further customize it too. Because, you don't have to make a dedicated proxy. You can still control relays or lights or whatever you do with ESP home. Yeah.
The other one I've seen that's pretty popular is I've seen it used in a bunch of different projects. It's just a tacked on, but it's not power over Ethernet.
Right.
So, but it's so you're having to give it Ethernet plus you're having to give it power. Yeah, that kind of So, but I could see it definitely working out because I've actually flashed one of those before with ESP Home and stuff like that. So.
Generally, all these things are like, it's all standardized chips, right? It's like, you create the configuration. Yeah, the problem if you don't have power over Ethernet, then you have like a power adapter. Those are big, and it's like,
yeah,
it's
the Olimex is cool. Yeah, I saw that y'all had that on there when you click the Olimex, where you could get it from Olimex and everything. Yeah, and the case on Thingiverse. I hadn't printed out the case. I thought that was kind of cool, and when y'all showed the case and everything, so.
Yeah, we did a similar thing with the media players, right? Like a couple of, in June. In June, we had like the Let's Get Loud event where we added media players to ESP Home.
Yep.
And this is actually, I copied this website from there. And then it just a little bit. We might have to start to merge them eventually, but it's just, using ESP Web Tools, it makes it so easy for people to just, buy one of these devices, install it, and use it for that one single purpose.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess to back up for some people like kind of jumping in is the kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I did this a couple of days ago, and I did it with just a regular, I just did it with just a little regular dev board, just a Wi-Fi one. I know it wasn't the best thing to do it, but hey, I wanted to see how it would work, and I left it running for 24 hours and had no issues with, and checked the graphs and everything and a couple sensors. So basically, is you're buying like. Of course, I would say the best solution is probably exactly what Paulus is saying is the that Olimex one, because it is power over Ethernet. And a lot of people are going to have power over Ethernet if you're doing like any type of IP cameras or whatnot. But of course, there are those other ones. And connected up, you can use these pre-configured bin, I guess it's the bin files behind the scenes with the ESP Home Flasher, I think it is.
Yeah, correct.
I guess it does the regular onboarding through access point or something, or how does the onboarding work onto your network?
So,
I didn't try it.
So this is ESP Web Tools. So ESP Web Tools supports improv over serial. So improv is our provisioning protocol that we did. So if you would flash the generic ESP32 or the Atom 5 Lite, both are Wi-Fi based, it will actually, after installation, check if it supports improv, and if so, it will prompt you for your Wi-Fi credentials. So that's all built into the installer.
Oh, okay. So that makes it pretty simple for folks, because then once you do that, it was nothing else to it. Now, again, this is with it's still in beta, the 22.9 version, right?
It's all beta, but we've been testing it pretty thoroughly. And so, for ESP Home, this is on the dev branch, but we're going to do a special release of ESP Home on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that basically people have access to this in ESP Home, because we want people to get access to this feature in Home Assistant.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to point out, I didn't want somebody to go, oh, well, I hit update on my Home Assistant and it's not there yet.
Right,
no, it's because I know a lot of people stay on standard release.
Yes,
which
if you jump into the beta, you'll get access. But we're also still making some extra tweaks.
So, like, pretty much when I came, this is running. While you were talking, I updated the container to whatever the latest RC is, and basically when I came in, of course, it finds ESP Home. It finds that ESP Home 32 BLE one, and then the sensors just started popping up. Like I've got this little Goovy sensor. It's actually this one here, a little display sensor, and it just like regular integrations. It just you hit hey configure and call it a day. The only thing, and I did do the little Xiaomi I know you're very familiar with those.
You got mine.
Yep.
Always carry them around.
And so I guess what's your recommendation? I put that ATC PVVX where I know people are like, oh, you gotta install it. No, it's just over the air. So if you haven't done that, it's just paired up with Bluetooth and through over the air. Now I did have to change it to the packet type of HABLE.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, these little thermometers, they're Xiaomi based, right? And so generally, you pair them with the Xiaomi app. You have to get a bind key, and that bind key is like an encryption key that the app will add to that device, so that you can, only that device can read it out. Now, if you want to get access to that bind key to get it to Home Assistant, what you need to do is that you first have to put on ATC firmware, and then from that page you can also put back the Xiaomi firmware and then get the bind key. That's just a lot of work. So I would just stick with the ATC firmware. And what you just mentioned HABLE. HABLE is actually a custom data protocol that Ernst, who made all the custom Bluetooth integration in the past, he made that data format together with Victor, the creator of ATC. And that was actually a custom format that only existed to get data into Home Assistant. So it explains, the format is great because it explains this is a temperature value, and here's the actual, that this will be a temperature value, and this is the value. Here's a humidity value, and this is the actual value, which means that sensors don't have to pre-register with Home Assistant. It's just a generic protocol. And so we actually are making this protocol like an official one. So if you go back to your integrations page and you look at the integration that ATC is integrated under, you see it's called BT Home.
Yep.
So BT Home is a new open standard that we have created. Like we've basically, it's Ern's standard, and we work with Ern to like make an official standard, as in like we added a website to it. So if you go to bthome.io.
Yeah, I think I went there. Let's see. Yep.
Yeah, well, dark mode is...
Huh?
I've been testing it on white mode, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I do have my dark reader turned on.
Oh, yeah. No, that's okay. It's just, it's good feedback. But yeah, as you can see, it shows...
I'm so used to doing dark reader.
Yeah. It is really just for people that are creating DIY projects. So HC firmware is in. HC firmware already updated the name also to be BT Home and not HABLE.
Ah, okay.
We got... Yeah, and then we also got Bee Parasite on board. They also added that.
Yes. Yeah, I saw the Bee Parasite. That was like the little plant-based. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Yeah, and so basically what is happening now is that any DIY project that implements like BT Home, it will just work with Home Assistant, and it will work through the Bluetooth proxies, and you'll just have a great experience.
Yeah, so I'm just reading some of the comments, and I know some people are asking, hey, can, I use, Pi Zeros and everything, and I think, as everywhere, is just trying to get Pi Zeros, and you can get ESP32 stuff, and so I don't know if they're not gonna be doing that in type of gateways or not, right? Not like Pi Zeros.
No, the thing with Pi Zero is that it runs Linux, right?
Yeah.
So you have to actually have a Linux distribution, and all that stuff is so much more higher maintenance, like frequent upgrades, like SSH keys, all that stuff. And ESP Home is just like, it's super tiny, and so it does its job really well. ESP32s are also therefore really cheap, right? Because it's not very powerful, but it's powerful enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know someone's asking, hey, is the ESP32 Bluetooth stable enough for full-time deployment? Does it have decent range? Well, all good questions, and I know you may have jumped in after, is Paulus was talking about that, hey, and if I'm assuming this is possible, if you want to put 5 or 6 of these around the house, where you got a 3-story McMansion, but you got Ethernet run around, well, yeah, go ahead and put several of them to broaden out your coverage. Now, how does that deal with where you've got, because you want some overlap, kind of like with Wi-Fi. How does that, when it got picking up multiple sensors, does it handle that?
Yeah, we do deduplication inside Home Assistant. So we see like a packet coming in multiple times, and that's like every time a packet comes in, we also know like the RSSI value, so we know how good of a connection each ESP Home device has. And so we're working on this allow list where certain ESP Home devices will focus on certain devices, and they will actually take RSSI into consideration. So they would like one that can barely get data from a device might start ignoring it and no longer forwarding it, while another one will pick it up.
Yeah, and I know I do some of that with on the Tasmota side. There was a Blairy script. I don't know if you've dealt with that, and it's for picking up some of the different devices, some of the same stuff, and it's having multiple ways of doing things. And so I've enjoyed like doing Bluetooth stuff, like for instance, because it was very easy, and I didn't want to go drill a hole in the side of my freezer and end up costing myself several digit bill because I hit a Freon line or something like that. So like that was one of the things I saw it picked up immediately was that Inkbird device. And this is in Fahrenheit, so you can see, and I've been using that for monitoring my freezer, which is really, I would say, some people always ask, well, why are you doing all this smart stuff and everything? Is it really worth it? Well, that one time when your freezer goes out and you don't know it, this is when it's all worth it.
Yes.
So, I guess what other sensors you plan on I don't know, I guess it's just kind of open to whatever. I know everybody's gonna be, because there's like a lot of Bluetooth LED strips and light bulbs, but I think the problem there is you need all those. They're encrypted with their own apps with bind keys, though.
So sometimes, sometimes we can figure those out. Like for example, with Yale, you connect to the cloud to their API, and then you can able to get the key to talk locally to the lock. So there's ways around it. But in the end, for each device or each product, it's just like Home Assistant, right? Like somebody needs to make an integration. Somebody needs to figure it out. The nice thing is that it used to be that somebody, like for example, Bee Parasite, they had a Home Assistant integration. There was an ESP Home integration. It had its own website. It had its own like MQTT gateway. That was like 4 different things that the author was maintaining, and that's just overkill, right? So now, if you can add it to Home Assistant, ESP Home doesn't care, right? ESP Home is just forwarding data. So you add something to Home Assistant, and your existing Bluetooth proxies don't need any updates. They just keep getting the data, and it will just do more stuff. And of course, once we start doing those active connections, then it's going to be like amazing, because then we can talk to SwitchBot and control those. We can talk to yield locks. We can that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then it comes into trying to get some manufacturers on board, like, hey, you should work with our stuff, because really it's really a win-win for everybody, because it's like, hey, if someone says, hey, I want this LED strip that's I know what's the other one? Goovy, I think, does a lot of Bluetooth light stuff, and it's like, hey, would you recommend them? And I was like, not really, because it's such a pain to bring in the Home Assistant and use local, and you have to use. But if they would just like the Works with Home Assistant deal, and like here's how you can work with our Bluetooth, and that would be pretty slick, and it totally is a win-win for them being able to sell more to the Home Assistant users. So that's pretty awesome.
I think the one downside of like the BT Home format is that because it's dynamic, like we don't know what's going to be in a package. So each value that's inside the Bluetooth package, and there's not a lot of space, you need to say, hey, this is going to be the next value is temperature, and then you put in the temperature value. The next value is going to be humidity, and then there's a humidity value. If you are like a manufacturer, you could just say, you could hard code it, like given that anyone receives the packet, knows that the first 8 bits are temperature and the second byte is humidity. So you can cram more data, because the discovery package is not too big. But the upside, of course, if BT Home is so dynamic, is that it will work with many things. And so we really hope that other platforms also are going to pick it up, right? Like maybe Tesmoda will add BT Home support so that they can like pick it up. Or maybe, it would be great if you could like talk to Shelly and say, hey, Shelly, if you're going to make Bluetooth stuff, make it work with this. Or you said Govee, right? Like those, it would be cool to just have a single thing that just works for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that was kind of one of the things a lot of people, and even I said it, was like, hey, I've got my, where my Home Assistant runs is way on the corner of the house, and it's like in the worst spot to be for like if I want to put Bluetooth sensors in the backyard, and it's just probably not the best. Now Zigbee, I can get it out there because you mesh it out. Now I'm just thinking this through, and I'm even better because now you've got wired gateways that you can spread around. Of course you got to run the wires, but that's a whole different deal. So
yeah, basically this is going to be very similar to how Thread is going to work. So Thread is the new meshing network that powers currently HomeKit, and it will power Matter, and that works with border routers. So border routers are very similar in that they receive Thread messages and then forward it either over Wi-Fi or Ethernet as well.
Yeah. That's I know that's a very common question that people always want to ask is like, hey, I could buy these different Zigbee coordinators and their Ethernet. Can I put like 3 or 4? And I'm like, well, you'd have to run 3 or 4 instances of Zigbee something, and that's definitely going to change that whenever And I'm curious to see if someone's going to do some interesting Zigbee networks that through VPN or something when Thread starts.
Now that's going to be very cool. I mean, that stuff can all become possible, right? Like you can have, just because Thread, every border router will automatically match up, and they have all the same key, and they all become the same network. And it means that you can have a Google one in your Google Home Hub, connect to your HomePod, connect to like the Sky Connect, to the Home Assistant Yellow, to whatever comes out there to be like border routers.
Yep. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing like what other sensors and other people try to add and whatnot. I know you were talking about, so we're not you say the SwitchBot stuff is not doing right now, or
Yeah, so we had to make a differentiation. The first upgrade we made to Home Assistant this release is that it can actually support multiple Bluetooth adapters. So you could actually, and Bluetooth adapters are the USB sticks, right? So you can plug one into your Home Assistant directly. You could maybe the built-in Raspberry Pi, Bluetooth can be used.
yeah.
But
just a
for example,
regular-
but Bidraco he got like a Bluetooth over Ethernet cable, and so basically you can repurpose a Ethernet cable to be a Bluetooth extension cord. And so he was running like Bluetooth adapters all the way through his house, and then still have it run through like Blues and like through Home Assistant OS into his Home Assistant installation. And that actually, the next step was that we added ESP Home support, but because ESP Home doesn't allow direct connections, we now currently make a differentiation. We have the adapters that support direct connections, and we have the adapters that do not support direct connections to devices. So with SwitchBot, we actually need to connect to the device and be like, turn on or press that button or something like this. Well, and so that's only possible right now still with the USB sticks connected into Home Assistant directly. The ESP Home, we're working on it. So the API is not that complicated. I think Jesse's the maintainer of ESP Home. He has like spec'd out the ESP Home side of things. So we're, looking into the Home Assistant side, maybe this week, but it's also, actually next week, it's already Friday, but like, maybe before the beta, but I doubt we're gonna make it. So, but it's good because we have something for next release,
Yeah, and that's understandable to take it in steps too. But people are going to ask, we control this, Well, look, just next step. Let's make sure this is stable and get it out to the masses and fix what other stupid issues, and then we'll get to that point.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that if you install a Bluetooth proxy through that website, we added this thing to ESP Home called like adoption. So you can adopt like that device into your ESP Home dashboard, and then you can start installing updates. So when a new version of ESP Home comes out with a more modern version of the Bluetooth proxy, you just hit update in your ESP Home dashboard, and your Bluetooth proxy will automatically get the latest version.
Yeah, so I saw that. I was looking at some of what Jesse had on there was some of the different the YAML files and stuff like that, where it would, I guess that's where it was talking about it would bring in that YAML file. And I said, that kind of makes sense. So that brings it into your dashboard and prevents you from having to remake that sensor again in your system.
Right, and the other thing is that this one, for example, we have you see the option at the top saying name at max suffix equals true. That means that we take the name of this device, which is the Olimax Bluetooth proxy, and then we add the MAC address to it. But of course, if you do that and then you take this configuration, then ESP Home gets all tricky because like it doesn't know it has to add the MAC, cannot find it on your Wi-Fi network and all that stuff. Once you adopt it, ESP Home will actually hard code the name to be the name with the MAC address, and then you can actually just use that moving forward. But I'm not sure if you noticed in the ESP Home dashboard, but we also just added rename. So you can actually rename devices now to say, hey, this is the Bluetooth proxy of like the living room, or the Bluetooth proxy of the backyard, or something like this.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
so we've been making a lot of changes to ESP Home just to kind of make it easy to make user-friendly products, right? Like we want to get products that can be open source, that you can update, you can tweak, customize, and so this is where like the dashboard import stuff comes in.
Yeah, because I know I know some of the others are doing like the more and more pre-flash stuff, and I know Koff was he does a lot of ESP Home straight out of the box stuff. I'm not sure how he does his part where you take bringing it from ESP Home straight into your network, how the onboarding works. I haven't done one with his in a while, so
yeah.
I'm assuming.
So we have an improv version over Bluetooth as well, right? So if you sell pre-flashed ESP Home devices, you can use improv over BLE, and then we have, on improv-wifi.com, we actually have an SDK. If you open it in Chrome, it will find any ESP Home device that is waiting to be set up, and over Bluetooth, you can send your Wi-Fi credentials. And then, of course, once it's connected to Wi-Fi, you can adopt it, customize it, and all that stuff, if the device supports it.
Yeah, so I can kind of see where that would be kind of slick, where that all folds together, where I guess the whole user experience would be, say a ESP32 based light bulb, and then it's pre-flashed with ESP Home, and then you just take it out, onboard through your proxies, and it's all kind of met and comes into your dashboard without really trying to big major effort. And you don't even have to start doing access point mode with your phone. You ain't got to fight the whole 5 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, the whole thing, man. That's yeah.
No, so that is going to be the long term. That's the plan, right? Like kind of like the roadmap is that we want improv support added through active Bluetooth proxies in Home Assistant. So yeah, you plug in a bulb, it just pops up on your dashboard. Hey, this is a device looking to be onboarded. Click, 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 it's done.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome to see a lot more of that pre-flash stuff. I know I constantly nag manufacturers, and a couple of them, you don't get through to the right people. And they're just you've probably dealt with it. And but some of the other ones, like I've gotten through with one of the ones I recently did some videos on the Martin Jerry light switches. They're starting to do now. This is on the North America market. They're doing pre-flashed switches, dimmers right now with Tasmota out, but they're just ESP12Fs. Because the problem was, and as is that Tuya was changing away and made everybody go to that beacon back in.
Right.
And of course they were asking me, well, is there some way y'all can get other firmware and everything? I was like, well, just make one with an ESP for us, and it's ESP. An ESP has been around for a while. It's just tried and true, It's not a whole new chipset and SDK and the whole nine. So they just start making those. They're starting to do. They're supposed to be doing fan controllers next month as well. And I want to say he said a receptacle as well for the North America market, but with power monitoring. So. Of course, you can go either way. You can switch them, because they come pre-flash. So whether you want to run them on Tasmota, ESP, Home, or I don't care, whatever other stuff you got. So it's pretty cool that we're starting to see some of that shift to pre-flash stuff.
Yeah, and I really like that shift, and I think we've been trying to, with ESP Home, trying to steer that if you are pre-flashing it and you follow our requirements like improv for onboarding, allowed adoption through like a package import URL. We have this badge, like the made for ESP Home, that people can put on.
Oh, okay.
So this is the one thing. And then we just started the Works with Home Assistant program as well. So where basically if you are already based on ESP Home, you can work with Home Assistant also without like doing much work, because the ESP Home integration itself is already part of, is well maintained. So, people, when they want these badges, right? Because in the end, like if you have a Works with Home Assistant badge or made for ESP Home badge, then people will know, hey, this works, and then let's buy it.
Yes, I don't know if I'm sure if you've heard of Cough before.
I think I've seen it once or twice, but I've never talked to the guy.
Yeah, he normally has his stuff posted and everything of. Here it is. His GitHub repo. I have it zoomed in like crazy, but he's got all the YAML files and everything. Look, he's got 2 days ago and whatever his.
Right.
So so he does a lot of his stuff that's straight out of the box, and I know he does a lot of very custom stuff in ESP Home as well. So I guess looks like he's doing test patterns as it's starting up for like the factory and stuff like that. Kind of cool stuff that he's done. So.
This is actually the nice thing. If you publish your YAML files and like you allow adoption, the YAML file will not be downloaded in your local installation, but it will be referenced. So if he pushes an update to his repository, you also get an update button in your Home Assistant saying, hey, there's a new there's a firmware update available for this device because this person has pushed a new version to his repository. So it's all linked. It's not like a one-time you get it into ESP Home, but like consistently ESP Home will check once a day, hey, did the author or creator of this device push new software version?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I guess I'm just trying to think in my mind what ESP32 other stuff is out there. Have y'all done any tests with other ESP32 devices for the Bluetooth proxies that would just be... And I know it's dual, like say someone's got a light switch or, a relay or something. Have you tested anything with that or no?
I haven't myself, but I know that Marcel, he has been testing it on a Shelly's
Okay.
flashes with Bluetooth proxy. So that still works. And so, I mean, that, because in the end, like, controlling a relay or something is not that much CPU, right? Or like,
Yeah.
So that should all still work.
Yeah, I guess probably the only big thing they have on their side is probably the power monitoring poles on some of the Shelly devices.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but like a simple Shelly one that doesn't have that, it's just on off, and that's pretty much it in the
Yeah,
input.
so yeah, you should be able to combine it. Of course, at some point you're going to push the limits.
Yeah,
Right, I
yeah.
think the biggest challenge there is that adding the Bluetooth stack, I think by default ESP Home base is like 1.2 megabytes or something, and the Bluetooth stack adds like 800 kilobytes or 900 kilobytes. So I think that you need at least like 4 megabytes of RAM, or like not RAM, but flash
Yep.
space. But I think most chips come with 4 megabytes now.
Yeah, that's really typical. I see the four megabytes. I guess the only thing is the Shelly one. I think they're using that single core ESP32.
Yeah, they have that. Yeah, they got just. I guess they just got a cheap batch or something, and they just like
Now-
because I don't see them anywhere else, right?
Well, there was another manufacturer. Who was it? And someone can probably correct me in chat, but it was Linkind was doing. But I think it was Ladarson was actually the manufacturer, and they actually made a bunch of light switches. And was crazy. They were like doing like flash sales on Amazon where you could get like 4 light switches for like $20. And they were ESP32 solos, and they were stupid simple to open up. You could just pop it open, and they had the pads already there for you. You could actually use little clips to clip to them, and they were ESP32 solos, and they had 2 buttons, and I don't know how they were making any money on them, but
Right.
well, I've used those for Bluetooth gateways as well. So I could see though that, going back, if you want like high reliability, I mean, that's going to be going that Ethernet.
The Olimax, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be, and I'm sure this is not, there's a couple other one, but I know there's one that's crazy expensive. It's like called RASB or something, B or WASP or something like that. It's another ESP32 PoE one, but it's stupid expensive. So the Olimex one's probably going to be your best bet for that, I would say. So, yeah. So very cool. I'm looking forward to see how the Bluetooth whole thing goes, and whether, I mean, it may. I'm only using it for just like, temperature sensors and stuff like that right now. Really, because those little Xiaomi ones were just, they're super cheap, as you know.
These are crazy because like you can install and flash them over web Bluetooth. So literally from a browser, you just install new firmware on those wirelessly, which is just crazy.
Yeah, I'm pulling up so other people can see what we're a little bit easier to talking about with some of these. But yeah, and it's crazy. You just go through. I know we talk about flashing. You're not really, some people it scares them and everything, but it's really as simple as pulling up the website on a device that has Bluetooth capabilities, whether it be like a computer, a laptop, or a phone. Hit connect, hit the little button, and go, and it flashes in a couple minutes. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, with ESP Home, we've been trying to get rid of the word flashing and firmware. So we just call it installation and updates, right? So ESP Web Tools also never uses the word flashing anymore because it scares people.
Now, you know why I have you on here. Have y'all changed this one term? Because the Olimex is really gonna change it for you. Is the where it says install wirelessly?
Oh no, we don't know.
So it's the that's just a really nitpick. That people say wirelessly. No, my Olimex is wired. What are you talking about? So, yeah,
I'm making a note right now. But like, what will be the right term? Because this dialogue is already so. We spent so much time thinking about this dialogue because like plug into this computer, plug into the computer running ESP Home dashboard. Like it's already like people are going like, whoa, what do I pick?
Yeah, but I know people do like the term wireless. Like, oh, I don't have to plug anything in. So that's the one I want. So I get that. So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe over the network or something. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I guess over the air, that's the term we use, like, the technical term.
Right. Yeah.
Although air is also not fair because that's wirelessly.
Yeah. So it's just it's nitpick. It's just something I've seen on there.
No, it's a good good nitpick though.
But I guess, is there anything else we want? I hate to burn up all your time, everything. I appreciate you coming on and everything. Is if there's other stuff or subjects you want to share with, I don't know how many people we have on now.
Not sure. No, I mean, there's going to be cool stuff in Home Assistant. We've streamlined the home automation. The automation editor is like super smooth in the next release. Zigbee backups. You can restore backups now for Zigbee. You can take a backup from Zigbee to MQTT and restore it to a different, like to ZHA integration in Home Assistant. You can switch radios and we'll override the MAC address, the IEE. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening. And it's like, we've been like moving really fast because like Nabukasa hired one of the Zigbee developers in Home Assistant.
Oh, okay.
And then of course we have the Z-Wave GS founder is also on the payroll, right? So we've been, this one thing we're launching for Z-Wave is really cool is automatic firmware updates. So we have a firmware update server where manufacturers can publish their firmwares. We match it up, Z-Wave GS matches it up with Z-Wave devices, and then in Home Assistant, just like you see, update core. Well, you use container, you probably never see it, but if you use operating system, there's a great there's an update available for WLED, there's an update available for Home Assistant core operating system, and Z-Wave devices will be part of that now too. So you can, we will help you keep your home secure.
And so like, I'm sure that's going to all fold back into like the standard, notification and type thing where you see, I don't have any here or now, but it like said like HACS has an update or whatever, or you'll see these have an update and then give you that button to one click. I guess where that's going, where you're talking about where those fixes type thing, I guess too, or is that just
it's above cloud. There's like a box appears, right? When there's either fixes or there's updates.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah, because that's now you see. You said I saw that about doing the backups. You can take a backup. You convert from ZHA to, or is it taken from Zigbee to MQTT to ZHA or what?
Yes, both. So you can go from Zigbee to MQTT to ZHA, but you could also go from ZHA to a new radio on ZHA. So
okay.
If you have a different stick. And so this is generally was very tricky because every stick has a unique address in like the Zigbee space.
Yep.
And so all your devices are looking for that address to send their data to because they say, hey, this is the controller. So if you change the radio, you can restore a backup, but if that MAC address doesn't change, then of course the data is not going to arrive because the Zigbee is like that MAC address doesn't work. So what we do now is that we have the option to override the MAC address of your new radio to be the same as your old stick. So everything will continue to work.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead. Kind of like cloning stuff.
Yes, exactly. It has a caveat that certain firmwares, including like the Amber ZNet firmware like that we use on the Sky Connect,
yep.
For security, privacy reasons, I'm not sure why, but it only allows you to override it once.
Oh, that's
weird.
You
can migrate to your stick, but then if you would like give that stick to someone else, they couldn't migrate to it.
Okay.
So it's something to keep in mind. We add a big warning in the UI, but it's just like, so it's going to be difficult to teach people like, hey, this is a one-time operation, but it is the way to go if you want to migrate.
Yeah. I guess they're doing it for some sort of eFuse thing that they can't keep changing it type deal, or that's weird.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, we try to like kind of work around with like, because we're compiling the firmware for the Sky Connect ourselves.
Yep.
But we haven't been able to figure it out yet. So, but maybe eventually.
Yeah, I've seen some of the I've actually swapped in different Zigbee stuff now using that with Zigbee to MQTT, and I've seen the exact thing you're talking about where it's like some devices will automatically join back up and they don't really care that you've ripped out the host from underneath, but then some of them are like, nope, I'm not talking to that when you got to pair me back up,
Right.
So that's pretty cool. That's moving forward to that. So I guess I know I'd heard talk from a couple, and I don't know if it was just rumor or whatever, is that they were talking about that ZHA was going to be pulled out from Home Assistant, like decoupled at one point, or no? Or is that a thing?
It's a prototype. So David Mulcahy, one of the Zigbee developers, He really likes the way Z-Wave.js and also the new experimental meta integration work, where it's a standalone process that keeps the coordinator running, and while you restart Home Assistant, your network doesn't go down. Because for Z-Wave, it can take like 30 seconds, and if a device is not has to be like is sleepy, then it has to report again, all that stuff, right? And so if you run it in an add-on, it will just like stay online while you update or restart Home Assistant, and so your Zigbee network will be instantly working. And so what David has been doing is that he experimented with it, like, hey, can we run a remote session of the Zigbee integration in a separate process, and so keep it online. But we haven't really moved forward with it at this point. But it's also because there's going to be a lot of things like kind of happening to ZHA right now, combined with like Thread, because I'm not sure if you heard, but with Home Assistant Yellow and also with the Sky Connect, our USB dongle, which I can show. 1 second, let me get one. Right, so we're working on these USB sticks.
Let me see. And I can do a split. Oh, yeah, we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so these are USB sticks, and they contain like a Silicon Labs MGR210 chip. Correct, maybe, I think so. Anyway, it's a Silicon Labs chip, and Silicon Labs is a manufacturer of like most of the Zigbee chips in the world, but also from Z-Wave chips, and they make a lot of chips. And they are creating firmware now that allows time shifting on their Zigbee module to also do Thread at the same time.
Yeah, so the dual. Yeah,
it's called multi-pan. And so with the Home Assistant Yellow and the Sky Connect, we have this chip in there, and we're going to have like an add-on to automatically configure this for you. So there will be normally you have firmware running on the stick, and in this case, it will no longer happen. Instead, it will forward the radio packets, and the Amber ZNet, which is a Silicon Labs Zigbee firmware, will actually run in a Linux daemon. So you have like that running in a container, and that will then talk to ZHA or Zigbee to MQTT. So we were already like containerizing so much stuff that right now it didn't make sense to also containerize Zigbee just to first see where this stuff is going.
Right, yeah. I could see that where you've got too many irons in the fire type thing,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like get to that one point and then look at containerizing. Because I know like some people run some weird different configurations, and everybody runs their stuff their own way. Someone was talking about they have a Pi that just runs just like their containers of like Zigbee and some other things, but it's in a total different location of the house because they wanted that Zigbee radio over there and they didn't want to do Ethernet. So
right.
And I like some of that myself, is the decoupling of things. And because I run stuff just containers, I don't run HOS, and that's just the way I started probably back 3 or 4 years ago. So
you should give it a shot. HOS is like, it's just so nice because once you have a device dedicated to just running Home Assistant, like every time you'll get updates for your operating system, for your Home Assistant core, will just be inside the UI. If an update fails, it automatically rolls back. If an operating system update fails, it will also, after 3 times failed booting, it will also roll back to the previous operating system. It has like 2 partitions on like your SD card. It just, it works so nicely. If you use Z-Wave.js, for example, it will automatically install the add-on as part of the integration setup flow. So you're not even launching add-ons. You don't even know an add-on is being used. You just go through the normal flow. Hey, we detected a Z-Wave stick. And like, you were messing with blues and Bluetooth. Well, we make sure it works out of the box, right? Because we control the host and we can forward all that stuff. So it's, if you don't want to fight stuff, almost an operating system.
Yeah, and I tell people that because they always ask like, hey, what's going to be for me? I'm like, well, how do you want a bunch of flexibility where you control all the mount sources and everything and the whole, or do you want it where it's just out of the box and go, So like definitely, absolutely, new users, that's the way to go because you don't want to deal with having to, unless you're like have this strong Linux background, where like Docker in and out and everything. Then I would probably, I always say, hey, go run HOS and see how it works out for you, and learn the home automation side of things first. You know, that's a big
Right.
stuff to go. You know, like what is Zigbee?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
What is
yeah.
Z-Wave? You know, so don't deal like what's a Docker container right out the gate. But I have ran them all, like even doing the Python virtual environment and everything. So yeah, I've definitely tried them all. I've done like VMs and everything, and my current production one, I just still run just a regular container and kind of containerize everything. So
I guess it all depends also on what you want to use as like your protocols, right? Like for example, you were saying people want to run it on the other side of their home. Well, Z-Wave.js server, if you spin up a container on a different server somewhere else, you can just connect it to Z-Wave.js. It doesn't matter that because it's a separate process, we don't care if it runs in an add-on or somewhere else, even like physically, right? You know, you could integrate a Z-Wave stick that is like, miles away. The same with like ZHA, if you want to do that, you have to use those serial to TCP kind of things, right? But then it's also possible. So yeah. It's, everything is possible. You just need to figure it out, and if you have the time and like the patience to figure all it out, then go for it.
Yeah, I may talk. I guess I would say the don't follow the rules of the system per se of like what the new users. Yeah, because I get it. Like out of the box, and you're trying to create that experience where you don't become overwhelmed, where you like take it out of the box, plug it in, it's on your network, on board. The onboarding has changed tremendously with Home Assistant in the past 3 or 4 years. It's so much easier now, with because it's like you can set up all kind of stuff without even knowing what the YAML is, and
I mean most of it now, right? I feel like popular stuff. It's all.
I do get the whole thing of. All the different USB sticks and everything, you just plug them in and go, and it just auto does. But I do love the ability on the other side of it that we are allowed that, hey, someone's got a server in their, in their basement already running, and they're running, Docker Stack or whatever. We'll just spin up Home Assistant, and they're not having to add hardware because, like trying to find hardware is especially hard at different times right now.
Right.
So, I get that. And they don't cost them anything to spin up a container. So I think it's cool that y'all allow all of that, all these different types of systems to run Home Assistant. That's the beautiful thing of it.
Yeah, and I think, that's not going to go away because that's just like also, I mean, that's how we started, of course, but in the end also, running Python on my Mac is like my dev environment, right? Like, of course, that is just going to be, and running it in a container, that is the same thing. It's just writing a Python process. And nowadays, we actually share the containers between Home Assistant operating system and like the standalone container installation is the same image.
Yes.
So everybody is just running the same experience. There's just like some sort of like, oh, this is not HOS, then we cannot request this or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so that kind of like, I like that for being able to, I can run just a regular stable release in a container, and then I can run my development on the same box, just a different port, and
right.
And it allows me to play around with some of the new different, RCs and dev builds and everything, which is pretty cool. So, and of course I want to test something. I've got so massive a system now. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try this first on my small system, So,
right.
But
yeah.
Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, I'm not meaning to kick you off or anything. I just don't want to waste your time. It's always cool.
One last thing about the Bluetooth proxies, because we're talking about like remote connecting stuff. Bluetooth proxies are not limited to one Home Assistant instance. So when you're testing stuff out and you have like 2 instances running, they can both connect to the same ESP home Bluetooth proxy and get all the packets.
So you can't do that with like, say, a Zigbee Ethernet based one, because it's just one serial connection.
Yeah. So once we start doing active connections, that might change, right?
Yeah.
Because active connections are different. But
I could
passive
see
connection,
I could see that. So, so I wanted to look. Any other questions? Any tracking integration? Oh, so I guess someone was asking, which is always everyone's asking about presence. Any tracking detection, integrations in the works? Something like Room Assist or Espresso Sense?
So we don't have anything in the works ourselves. So I think, we're really just focusing on the foundational technology here. But I think that if people, the Room Assist project, they could probably leverage something like, building as a Home Assistant integration that talks to our Bluetooth stack. They should be able to leverage all the available Bluetooth adapters, like also via ESP Home.
Yeah.
So I think that the first person to do that, their project will skyrocket because it will be simple install for Home Assistant, and then you can start tracking all the things.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like I remember, and probably I think because Google removed it, where you could do the Bluetooth scanning on the different Google Homes and everything.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty cool and everything. But so yeah, I could definitely see that coming back into the realm of things where we ultimately control and not someone else of what's going to happen with the firmware on them. So which is where we need to be.
Right.
So.
I think the biggest problem is that a lot of these Bluetooth devices now they have a rotating MAC address, right? So tracking is less easy.
Yeah, a lot of the stores end up ruining that for people.
Yeah, I mean that's always the thing with tracking stuff. Like AirTags are great, and then they're being used for stalking. You're like, well, shit. Like anything that's good for tracking is good for stalking. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know they were using it for advertising and how often did you come to the store and everything. I use our free Wi-Fi. Well, yeah, your MAC ID is the same, but now I know everybody's doing those rotating MAC IDs and stuff. So which is good. So
that is good. Cool, man. Well, glad I could be here.
I definitely appreciate it. And always cool to have the insight and everything. I'm looking forward to see and set up some different Bluetooth gateways and different sensors. So I definitely appreciate all the work that you and the crew are doing, and awesome stuff.
Awesome, man. Well, I didn't even code that much on this. I've been more like facilitating. Like all the work's being done by Ernst Klammer, who's did the BLE custom component, and B Draco has been doing a lot of the work. With like a little bit of help of JC2K, Marcel Veld, and Jesse Rocks. Jesse, the ESP Home developer.
Yep, definitely.
So that's the whole crew that's been doing all the work, and I just kind of like connect all the pieces, make sure that everybody is like, in the loop.
Yeah, and I'm sure definitely a bunch of good ideas. Like, no, let's do it this way or that way or not, or so. Everybody has their piece, to getting it off the ground. So
definitely.
So, all right, well.
Cool.
I thank you, and you're always welcome to come on a thing. This was like an impromptu thing for me. I don't really do during the day, but I had the day off, and I was like, let's just do a live stream. So
yeah, no, I mean I was on Discord and I saw the ping. I was like, oh, he's doing a live stream Bluetooth. I gotta hop in. This is like...
Oh, good deal. All right,
man. Hey, good talking to you.
All right, appreciate it.
Bye.
Well, that was pretty cool. Let the stuff come back down. So, yeah. So, I probably don't. If I've tried to pick out some of your questions, don't hate on me too much. If you think your in question was important or whatever, I wasn't. I was just trying to pick out different things. So, so much going on at one time, and then trying to get stuff set up because I was not prepared to take any Discord calls. So I do appreciate Paulus for coming on board. So pretty cool that that was my number one question, was the multiple gateways, and I hadn't able to test it with multiple yet, because that's the whole thing. I know Bluetooth does have some good range at times, but like the little Xiaomi ones I was showing, I go through and on the firmware, just to save battery, there's an option in there where you can pick on there, like you can pick bring the power down. Where it's not ruining because it's just a little coin cell battery in these. So, and I know there's ways you can put a little power supply on them and whatnot. So. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely get random device. So no, Matt. I know he's has to push home HAOS a good bit, that's fine. I mean, I've pushed it myself, and because it's really like if a family member or friend or whatever is trying to get into Home Assistant, I am not going to sit there and like, here's how you use Docker Compose, and here's how you do your Linux updates. And it's just enough to help them support Home Assistant and what kind of devices they want. I'm not support. So let them run HAOS, at least starting out. But then once you kind of get the grasp and you say, hey, I may run into some limitations of things. Like I know one of the big ones I always see is trying to do frigate, and recording stuff and where the different mount points and everything and doing USB hard drives and everything. It's just a lot easier if you kind of do your own Docker container on frigate. So I kind of get that, but it's just some people love doing the whole HOS, and I totally get it, but then I like the flexibility. So, yeah, I would say it's, and like I'm always brutally honest, and because I sometimes do nitpick stuff a little too much, but I would say I agree with you, James. It's just on the cusp for recommending it, if especially if they have any little technical background. Oh, absolutely. I think if they can plug in a machine and do stuff on a web browser, yeah, I think it's there for them right now. So, but non-technical, it needs a little bit more. It just depends on what they're going to use. You really think about it, if it's something that they're going to be a system. Hey, they had smart things, and they used Z-Wave and Zigbee stuff a lot. That was the most they used in smart things because it was really stupid simple to plug those things in and pair them up with smart things and go. I think that would be perfect for them because you doing, plug in a couple radios, HAOS, and then you're not going to just pair everything up and be done with it. So, yeah. So, and I know I'm probably biased in that aspect. In like some of my Discord and stuff, there's a lot of the deeper Linux folks. A lot of us are running containers and whatnot, and because it does give you more power, but it's not for everybody. So, that freezer sensor is actually in this picture. I should have it here. Is this one actually, this picture here was from the thumbnail of my video, it's just it's a little sensor that you can get off of Amazon. I think there's a couple different models. It's Inkbird. Inkbird, let's do Inkbird freezer. Yeah, we couldn't say that. We didn't want Paulus to hang up on us if we called it supervisor, okay? So, wow, they've shot up. They used to be a lot cheaper. I guess all the fools are buying them off of. I want to say they were like everything else going up these days. Well, it is 30% off, but is that the one? I want to say this was the one with BLE. It should be Inkbird freezer, unless they don't have them listed on there anymore. Let's go to the Inkbird store. Oh, IBS there's a good model to search for. IBS TH2. Yeah, it's probably my fault. Just like blame everything. I see is it just out of stock and that's why I'm not finding it? Ugh. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's out of stock. You may have to dig around and find that one. I liked it because it was it had AAA batteries in it. It was 2 AAAs. And so I've actually had rechargeable AAAs in it, and I just recharge the batteries, and it stays in the freezer. Where are they at, Kevin? It should be, because I know I linked them on the thing before. I bet you it's there. I found it. Inkbird Bluetooth thermometer. Let's try that. I know they got the grill ones. Don't buy this one. I have it. Don't buy it. It's a little coin cell and the Bluetooth turns off and you have to keep pushing the button to buy it. There it is right there. My bad. So don't use that link I sent you earlier. But they must not be good at SEO, right? This is the correct link. There's one that, and this is the one that has the temperature and humidity. I don't know how useful humidity is in the freezer, but I bought just the temperature one. So, all right, Jim, I do appreciate it. Yeah, so I have it, I'm using it with Blairy right now. In my main system, and let's see, you have to watch out for this because, let me see if I can get it to go full screen, that's the defrost cycle. So you don't want it to, tell you, hey, the temperature on the freezer is too hot. So you want to do something with the automation where the temperature is, for a certain time. And you can see I had an issue with it dropped out, but you may do that as well, where if you don't, your sensor goes to unavailable to also, once it goes unavailable for so long, to also automate you. So, yeah. And it is magnetic, and I just stuck it on top of something where it doesn't get bumped around too much or whatever. But yeah, it picks up my defrost on mine. But everybody's freezer is going to be different. So, oh, cool. Thank you. Glad you enjoying it, Rasby. So going back to until Paulus so rudely, no, I'm kidding, greatly interrupted us. I think it's really going to be a cool thing of being able to bring in multiple gateways with, I got so many links open here now, with the Bluetooth proxies. So that's going to be, I'm kind of looking forward to that and seeing how stable that is on the new 2022.9. And keep in mind, if you have not fixed your MQTT YAML entries, you need to, I want to say this is the version where that just gets deprecated. So, so I haven't, the battery life, I haven't, I would say now I'm using rechargeables on that Inkbird, and it is in the freezer, so it's kind of a harsh environment. I don't know. I've charged them every 4 or 5 months or so. It's almost 3 or 4 months, maybe. It's down to 28%. I'll wait for them to get way down. So, I would probably have to say no, Cookie. I know Paulus talked about with the Bluetooth and the Shelly that you would need to put ESP Home on your Shelly 1 or whatever it may be, and then enable this right here, like they're talking about. Now, this is currently because this is all going to change. They're going to make it easier because this is out of the different pull requests and everything. This is not, if once ESP Home gets updated and everything, he's talking about that special release, you would just be able to copy and paste these into your sketch or whatever you would call it for your configuration for ESP Home and just reinstall it. So yeah, oh Crazy Eye, and you missed the best part, and I will say the best part. So we had the man of the hour accidentally. Paulus was on here, so if you missed all that, you rewind it. I'll change the title and stuff on there. So, yeah. So yeah, that's it. I'm interested to see where this goes with controlling other devices with, because we're doing light bulbs and Zigbee, I know one that's probably not going to be is, like there's some those I know we talked about in Discord, those Pete Me lights. They come with a Tuya Bluetooth module in them. Now it'd be really cool to just be able to pop those in, install them in your ceiling, and then bring them straight into Home Assistant without having to do the chip swaps on those. Those would be pretty awesome. So the only reason I went with the Goovy is, let me, there's a couple different Goovies out there. But the only reason I went with that Goovy was because of the location. Let's see. Because it had a display on it. And I like being able to, it's kind of like that old school thing of, and I know some people don't, but I like to have wall control where if I want to be able to turn a light on and off, I just want to be able to push the button right there. So I want to be able to see the temperature and humidity in the kitchen area. But then I wanted to be able to see it on Home Assistant and stuff as well. So that's why I went with this Goovy one here, because it had the display. And the other part of it, if I pull the back of it off, was also, you can see what I'm using in it. It's using just regular Amazon rechargeable AAAs. So I'm real big on the you need to pay up front more for them, but just you do some rechargeable batteries. I keep enough and keep them and I just charge them up and throw them in, call it a day instead of throwing out batteries. So yeah, Cookie, I don't think you'll see that. It's don't say never, but you would really have to get Shelly to implement that Bluetooth feature into their firmware and then cooperate. I really don't think you'll see it, but never say never. If you want to work today, well, not today, if you want to work next week, just put the ESP home firmware on it. So, well, you need a Bluetooth dongle or something. No, that's actually no, you don't. That's the whole thing we're talking about. Is this one is power over Ethernet, and this will be your Bluetooth gateway. And like Paulus was talking about, if you want to put 5-6 of these around the house, done. If I'm using just a little dev board with Wi-Fi, it's not the most efficient because it's using Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on the same device. This is going to be the better of the Olimex one. So, and if you can go get that off of, did I get rid of the site? They had it on the instructions. Yep, I lost it. There it is, Bluetooth Proxies. So I think they had a coupon code on there. If you picked on the Olimex, they had the case. I'll have to go print that out. And yeah, it was the coupon for the M5 stack. My bad. So yeah, there was the Olimex right there. And I should probably pull it up the thing so y'all can see. I always forget that when I don't change the deal. So there are a couple, if you're looking at doing the, there are a couple different models on the Olimex. And I got to change this. Okay. Yeah, so there are a couple different, pay attention to the variants. I've chose the isolated one, I believe, ISO. Yeah, this is the one. I think they might have some that are probably out of stock. This is an external antenna. So just read through and pick one this is the isolated module that I picked, and I bought a couple of these to do some different sensors with. So what other questions are we going to jump into? I know they changed the whole, but it's cool with the Bluetooth. And is there other questions that were I missed that you think were awesome, the best? I don't want to scroll back through and sit here and be in the quiet and read back. So, so if you got any, trying to think what other things. I've got a project finally going to come up that's going to force me to upgrade to 2.5, and I could go more, but to finally upgrade to 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on my router. So I did order one. I'm trying to pull up the link to it. What would be the range? I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot and see how far. It's really gonna be. Of course, if you did buy the one, I don't know if they're in stock. If you did buy the one that has the external antenna, then of course you're gonna have better ears to hear. It's really gonna be. It's much like anything else in even like the Wi-Fi world is. Typically, your access points are pretty strong to talk, or routers or to talk, but they need to have a good receive sensitivity to listen, because you just got a little PCB antennas or whatever in your phone and or little devices. It's really going to be the device dependent on how much power they're sending back. So is there a US site for Olimex? No, I do not think so. I've ordered from Olimex, and yeah, I think you have to order. I've ordered from them, and they take a little bit to get here, but oh, you can get them on Mauser. Okay, on the Olimex. I think it's where I got them. Yeah, you're right. Olimex. Now that I'm come to think of it, I went to and found what exactly the different Olimex ones were, and then I did order them on Mauser. So I thank you for that. So look, there's the ESP32 PoE. Oh, and they do have the ones. I might have to get one of those and try it out. So yeah, so you can get them from Mauser as well. You compare the cost definitely between the two if you don't need them right away. I know Mauser ships pretty quickly. At least they have for me in the U.S. So, and they got, y'all better hurry now. Hef's gonna go buy 5 of each. So, but they've got plenty. So, it's Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz, and it's Bluetooth low energy. So it's really gonna, like I say, dependent on. Now, I've had no problem going through with these little Xiaomi ones. And I can have one and pick up, 3 or 4, 3 rooms away. Really what kills it is when it's going through, it all depends on your walls. Are your walls sheetrock or wood? Are they concrete with rebar? If you got concrete walls with rebar or type of metal mesh that's grounded or whatever, yeah, that's probably going to lessen that. But it's going to vary in all situation. But yeah, he ordered 715. So yeah, that's it. Really, just try it, and I would say that's really the thing is put you a couple gateways out, because I really look at it for redundancy as well, to have it picked up by 2 or 3 sensors. I mean, it's what we do in the house with, I say most of us maybe doing multiple access points. Instead of just doing the one, Wi-Fi router, we like to spread out stuff. So it makes sense. So yeah, thanks for mentioning the Mauser. I totally forgot. That's actually where I got them from. So, so yeah, what I did order inside of free, it goes through. It absolutely does. That has been impressive. Let's see, where's my, do I have the RSSI on mine? Let's see, MQTT, Inkbird. Yeah, so it's actually showing minus 75, not bad at all. And I think this is getting picked up by an ESP32 probably 1 or 2 walls over. So it's going through the freezer and then through some probably sheetrock or maybe some paneling. I have no idea what's behind there. So yeah, Is it metal? And that may be it. Is it metal? It's probably not metal on the backside. I bet you're right, old crazy eye. It's even your eye is correct. Is the probably plastic and just insulation on the back, and then it's stainless and stuff on the side and the front. So that's probably why it gets such a great signal. So now y'all got me off on something else, which is always. But so this is what. Oh, so it's probably right while it's why it's doing that. And what I'm trying to pull up, I guess it doesn't not working for me. But this is what I ordered one off of off of COSID was telling me. They mentioned a couple of them. Mentioned these, and it's from the price of these is absolutely insane. What you can get them for, I think, compared to some of the prices in the past. And I order it with no RAM, and there's I don't get any affiliate thing off of those. You can see, and but no RAM, and I didn't get the 6005. I got the N5 105. And in the U.S., where's the price at? $191.23. Now I bet you this coupon's probably going to order. You have to order 10, so only Hef would get that. Look, how many times have I mentioned Hef? Y'all got to tell them. And people are like, "What? Who the hell's Hef?" It's a in our Discord server. He always will joke that he buys 5 of everything, and we always ask him, "Well, is it for which elevators is going in, the front elevator or the back elevator?" He always claims he lives in a McMansion. I think he kind of does. So we always pick on him. Everybody loves Hef. But so finally, I'm doing. This is the to run OpenSense on this. No, not Hugh Hefner. That's I think he's no longer. Right? Did he pass away or something? I don't know. I don't keep up with all the pop, with all that. So this is a cool little device. I actually have it, and but it's fanless. It's 4 ports for 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. Has a it's Intel i226, so no Realtek stuff. And I know there was the Intel 225. I think you did like stepping 3. But so these are 226, definitely a lot better. It's the 11th generation Intel. Of course, I don't need HDMI. It's going in a little rack. DDR4. It's all. They have pictures of the where's it at? Did they talk about? I just saw it said heat dissipation. Oh, power and their power consumption. Look, this is what was awesome to me. And they are pretty correct. I did check it, ran it with OpenSense or PFSense, whatever you want to do, and the thing is stupid efficient. Yeah, and they do have space inside for running 2 M.2s. And also an SSD, I don't see the reason why. In this case, I just stuck, I think, 120 gig, which is probably overkill. And then you do need DDR4. And why I would not use the RAM or the M.2 that they send, because you never know what off-the-wall type. That way you can go put in, whatever name brand RAM that is good, plus as in, like, say you want to put a Samsung SSD in it or whatever. So yeah I could see if you could probably, if you really wanted to, John, I know they make, but it would probably be this crazy attachment. I know you can do those like conversions where you can plug in using one of the PCIe slots on there and convert that into full PC. And I've seen people doing that with those 10 gig cards. So, Why not buy a used laptop? I don't have room really to put a laptop in there. I wanted the 4 ports. I wanted 2.5 gigabit. I didn't want any other maintenance really to it. So yeah, I didn't need battery. So there's a couple things I did look at for this. So yeah, that's why I went with it. And this is not running Home Assistant. I'll get that straight. I don't know if you were trying to go there with it. This is just, I know some people like to virtualize. This is just going to be straight bare metal OpenSense. I've ran OpenSense in the past before in a box. I ran into some issues. I had to swap back to my Edge router because I had a bunch of people staying with me at the time due to hurricane issues. But I'm clamoring to get back to OpenSense eventually. So now, yeah, if you're talking about Home Assistant, yeah, then you can go find, that's a whole different, and I did a whole video on that of, is I would just go find, and it's not going to be that same experience of the yellow or blue or whatever it is where it's ready to go. But if you're comfortable with loading HAOS, go look at some of your refurb shops. I mean, I know some people have some locally. Look on eBay. You can find those ultra small form factors. You can find those for like $100 that are less sometimes, that are stupid cheap. So yeah. No, this is for strictly routing, because what I want to do is you've got one port for, your ISP. And then you can actually, what I like to do is I like to have 2 split networks actually through the different ports. I don't know if I'll use this one. I may do that. So, but because right now I'm using the Edge router 4, which is, it's okay. So, you can run it on those boxes. I mean, just looking at. Let's see, Ultra. Let's just do Core i3. I'm going 7100T, Ultra Smart. There's a bunch of. I picked some of the T's because of they're high efficient processors. Well, if they can't, there's not many on there. But dig around. You can dig around some of them. That's kind of priced high. You can find some of the other ones. Is a Core i3 Ultra USFF. So there's a Core i3 8 gig of RAM, $100. Look, here's a Core i3 6300T. That's fine. Pre-owned. What's wrong with it? $67. AC adapter not included. But big deal. If you want to save some money, then yeah, eBay's going to be your thing for that. And you can go find, and that's going to put you in the x86 side of things as well, where if you did want to go later on, say if you want to start with HAOS, load the image or whatever, but then you want to go to Proxmox or something like that, then that would still allow you to do that. So, yeah. Now, it's probably not something I would run like Unraid on, but Unraid's more, it would run, but Unraid, you're going to limit yourself in what Unraid can do. So that's like while he was talking, I know Raspy was picking on me. He's like, you don't have Home Assistant running. Well, this is why this is blue up here, is because that's my development box. And I just have a few things on here. And I was just making sure to update my container to pull up this, the latest thing of Home Assistant. So, but if you want to see the difference of running, you're talking about Raspberry. You could, I guess, do it on a one. I just feel like it's a way. I'm gonna want at least like 4 or 5 spinners, probably spinner hard drives on my Unraid box. So, but if you haven't done any stuff with Unraid, with just running Docker containers, and you're afraid of the command line, like Unraid has this amazing freaking GUI for doing Docker container stuff. You don't even really know you're doing some Docker containers, because if you want to come in here and install a container of some sort, like, I don't know if we want to name one we were talking about. It has a lot of configurations, but like that, there's that Photo Prism one we're talking about, where it's your own hosted photo service. It is a Docker container, and it's really much like an add-on per se of like Home Assistant, but you didn't have to run any command stuff. You hit install, and then you fill out the configuration. Now this one has a lot of configurations. Some of them don't have that. You hit apply and done, it installs. So that's a lot of why a lot of people like doing, why I like doing it especially, is just, being able to do stuff. And people like, hey, I was talking about, hey, I want to run the latest RC of Home Assistant. Well, I just hit edit and change the tag to RC. If I wanted to do and roll back to stable, I hit put in stable, hit apply, boom, it'll automatically will pull the container and put me back on, was it 22.87 or something, I think it is right now. So it's pretty slick on how you can, do things, and, you can, this cool little GUI of things. So like, like my Zigbee to MQTT is here, and it's stopped right now, but it's just, it's just a little test system. So, but, so yeah, if you want to see how this is restarting the entire container, let me see, make sure I have the right one open. Now there's not a whole lot on here. There's MQTT and a couple things. There's not. I would call it a very unloaded system. But this is on a Core i7 6700, I believe. And if you're just to see it restart, look, if I can go find the restart stuff. I have links on mine over here. I'm not. See, I'm so lost now. Oh, just restart. Yeah. So restart Home Assistant, and it should get that reconnecting if I don't have it chopped. You can see it already restarted that quick. And even if I go in here and, it's like stupid quick. So say if I even wanted to go restart the whole container. So I'll hit restart container and hurry up and jump back. So we did get connecting lost, reconnecting, connection lost. And boom, it's already started up. And I could actually start, going and moving around and stuff. So, look at old Crazy Eye talking about, he's trying to get, look, here we go. Do you guys have lags or latency using HA automations for motion sense? That's probably pretty open-ended. It could be a lot of different things that cause lag. What type of what more are you talking about? Like what kind of devices and stuff? Because you could have like Zigbee interference or Z-Wave or whatever. So, attention. It's set up for a custom network. Let's see if old Crazy Eye is correct. Boom, boom. Yep, we should be good. And so, yeah, it's pretty much, I should be able to just run it. And it'll pull the container down for you. And then you can, if you're curious, Tasmo Compiler allows you to go compile your own custom stuff for Tasmota without having to do a bunch of special command line stuff. Button with Tasmota use in a trick. Yeah, it should not take 5 seconds. Quick tip is with Tasmota, there is a built-in delay for buttons, because what it's doing, it's looking for are you going to be doing multi-press? So you're going to be doing like click, 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 click. Well, so it has this built-in delay, and some people don't realize that. In Model PC, this is just a custom. it was a motherboard given to me. I did a video on how I converted it over, but it's a Core i7 67. No, my bad. It's a Core i7 7700K is what it is. So with 16 gig of RAM is what's in there. So it's not just Tasmota then. So, okay, it's not that. You know where I was going with that, you can disable multi-press with set option 13 and make your buttons faster in Tasmota. That way you get the quick reaction, but if that's more than that, so. How do you use, let's see. I would start to look for Home Assistant itself. You're really going to have to try to break that down. Are you using ZHA or Zigbee to MQTT? Because you might, if you're using Zigbee to MQTT, see if you're seeing the MQTT message over pretty quickly, like MQTT Explorer, too many letters. You're really going to have to work it back down. Like, where is that delay? Is that delay going from the button to Home Assistant, then Home Assistant out? You kind of have to break it down in the steps to see where your troubleshooting is. So you've already kind of done that. Well, that's good. I'm not an automation person in the HA side, but it should start quickly. Because I do a lot of Node-RED stuff I never circled back and learned a lot of the Home Assistant automation side of things. Make sure it's just I would make sure it's just a simple automation. What I would try first is make you a simple automation that's just going to toggle a helper, because then that's right there inside Home Assistant. Like, do a little binary helper, and I know you should be familiar with, if you've messed around with it, where you come in here and go to where you go to, is it helpers, or where's the helpers at? They moved it again on me. But you get what there it is, devices and service helpers over here. And you have to do create helper. You could do like a some type of binary or a counter or something like that type of switch. With doing a toggle. Just make you a toggle helper to toggle it. Oh, so you're doing Node-RED too. Okay. If you think it's Home Assistant, and if you're using, you said you're using Zigbee to MQTT, that may be something we probably need to jump into Discord more. And if you haven't, hopefully it will be. Will be on my Discord. Nightbot will jump in, give you the link there. If that link doesn't work, let me know, or you can always come find it on the website. So, and if you've seen I've changed to a new website, and I know you can find the links and stuff down here as well if you ever need them. So. But yeah, that may be something we may want to jump into, because you can do Zigbee to MQTT nodes in Node-RED, and you can not, that way Home Assistant isn't in play at all. Maybe it might be with something with Home Assistant. I'm not sure. See, now I would have thought it would be the host with Windows, but then you said MQTT comes over fast. I'm not really sure on that one. So, yeah, they should just run fast. So. But, yeah, so I probably will talk about this eventually in some other video, and I'm trying to get stuff here. I'm trying to add some different devices that I've vetted in things. Like you can find like the switches and stuff like Caleb has helped out with this a good bit with the Milfra switch. And it has a built-in motion sensor. And so he's broken everything down, all the stuff to it. I try to add some other stuff in here, like the Martin Jerry stuff. Plugs you'll find, like the switch by. Of course, it's not an end-all, be-all. Trying to put more vetted. It's quality over quantity here. and I'll leave it at that. So, but you'll find some stuff. I'll add some stuff as we go. I know I've had requests for people asking about a bunch of different devices, what can be flashed and everything. I'll put that in here. Zigbee one I talked about the other day. I just because I always reference this thing a lot, is the Zigbee interference graphic, but I'll put some stuff in there like for upgrading the firmware on that CC2652, etc. So, and if you're bored and you have nothing else to do, definitely feel free, because it's open now. If you want to, is you can hit edit this page or whatever. It's just GitHub Markdown. And it should take you into the doc site and everything and all the files and whatnot. And you should be able to do pull request. Don't be scared. It's not, that crazy, because if you just want to edit the file, you can just edit the file in GitHub. And yeah, I know about that message up there. I have to ignore on it. But you can hit edit the file. It'll do it all straight there in the web and send it over if you want to change something on the website. And then I'll go through and approve it and stuff like that. So it's just a bunch. It's all, when I say it's all done using, like say for editing this site, you can see it's all done using just straight markup files for like if behind the devices for, let's say switches. Here's the Martin Jerry one. As you can see, it's just straight. It's just straight GitHub markup text. So you can edit stuff and send it over. So, and we'll put it up there. It's pretty cool. So trying to make a little one-stop shop for some, because I know everybody has a bunch of notepad files or whether it be digital or analog or whatever, of stuff that you have that you're always referencing. So, yes, I probably would, Steve. If you have the budget to buy a 2652 P2, I would definitely. I ran the 2531 and I didn't really like it too much. It's miles ahead running that 2652 P2, especially if you're on the Zigbee to MQTT side. But reason why I do like that adapter right now, it allows you to use it with ZHA as well, so you can kind of flip back and forth. So, but if you don't, I know if you do with ZHA, if you're curious of which devices, there's a lot of 26. If you look under the recommended adapters, there's a lot of places that are making the 2652 based chipsets. So you'll see the P2. The P2 just means it has the ability to go. It has that, you can go up to that 20 dBm output. So. Oh, thank you, Shane. I see the. We've done a lot of different work on the site, so it's just running DocuSource on the back end, so which is pretty slick. It's nice, lightweight, and everything. I don't plan to never say never, but I probably won't, because I can't stand it myself. I don't plan to put tons of ads or crap on it or everything. I like it just stupid simple. And if there is it's defaulted to dark mode, but if you want light mode, you can hit the little sunshine thing up or moon up at the top and change it to light mode. So, whew, okay. We've been on for like 2 hours. Good Lord. That time flies when you're having fun. Any other crazy questions we got going on? Anything weird? Do you use ESP Home? That's a very common question and very good question. I will let the evidence, and this is no hate on ESP Home, I will let the evidence speak for itself of which one I do use. If I can go find so this is my stuff I have at ESP Home. I have had ESP8266 stability issues with connecting to Wi-Fi and dropping with Wi-Fi on ESP Home. So I don't use the 8266 a lot. ESP32 seems to be fine, but that's not the whole thing of it. And my other... These are all of my Tasmota devices. So there was like, what? Math is hard. 3 times 3 is 9, right? Is Tasmo backup not running for some reason? The one time I want to show it, did I stop it for some reason? It should be running. We'll make sure it is. Unless it had an issue. But the short answer is, while I restart that, I use both. Yeah, I just restarted it. It's probably flipping out. Yeah, there it goes. Just kick it, right? I use both, but the way I use Tasmota is gonna be for like a lot of my pre-built stuff, like Martin Jerry light switches, dimmers, stuff like that, light bulbs. I go to Tasmota for that. And you can see I've got 102 devices right now of Tasmota devices. So, and that's kind of where I go with that, is like, hey, I want to make something, with Tasmota. I just can go and assign, relay, click, click, click. But the big thing is, for the light switches and the bulbs, is the Tasmota device groups. And if you haven't seen some of my stuff on that, go search my channel for device groups. But it's, we do actually have, I probably need to update the page. Caleb made some awesome freaking wiring diagrams for it. And basically what this is you're powering a light switch and a light bulb all the time. But what happens between these two, there's no Home Assistant, there's no MQTT involved or nothing. This just UDP packets. And so you can actually have a dimmer change the dimming rate of a light bulb, or you change the color temperature from the wall, and it happens stupid quick. And so you still have that wall control. So that's a lot of the reason why I like to use Tasmota for stuff. Mainly Tasmota gets my pre-built devices that are ready to go, and then my DIY, like, stuff like this, with dev boards and BME sensors and stuff that I'm doing that's just one-off custom for me. A lot of times I do go ESP Home with those. So, don't have any stepper motors. I haven't jumped into that yet. So, the Sonoff Zigbee is CC2652, but make sure, I just did a video on that. There's 2 of them. That's the one I did where the dongle size is, there's a E and a P version. And let's see. Look, it was right there. That's funny. The smaller dongle. There's the E and the not that wrong one. I need the theater view. So there is it's a shorter version, and that has that Sci Labs chip, and that may be a good or a bad thing depending on what you want to do. But if you're trying to do that CC2652, you don't want to get that. You don't want to get the E model. That's it'll call dongle E. You want the dongle P. Yeah, and if you ever forget also, it's if you ever forget, the redirect of just that should bring you to the Discord invite as well. So, Yes, I will have some Node Red stuff on there, Raspberry. I do want to do some Node Red things of just, some simple stuff of like Zigbee to MQTT stuff, or, some Tasmota stuff that is in the plans. I have been trying to convert stuff over that I've referenced in previous videos, and that's been kind of my thing because it's like I forgot one, and I'm like, oh crap, forgot that guide, and some, I referenced it in a previous video. So, and I've linked it or something like that. So I've been trying to fix those links. So yeah, I do plan on doing that. And if there's stuff that y'all want to share and if there's stuff that you want to share and you don't want to do a pull, edit the site, you're always welcome to email it to me, Discord, and drop it to me. So, yeah, cool. So, yeah, I definitely will do, because that's some of the stuff I don't have a lot of experience. I know I've run HOS. I don't really need to cover that. It's because it's simple. I'll probably cover some of the Unraid stuff with a Docker container. So, I am looking at something. I want to see it before. I was looking at time here, and I heard outside, so I didn't want to. This is what I was. If he was going to come busting in on me, and make a guest appearance. So I heard the bus outside, but I think his bus is till later. So, but. All right, well, I think we've covered enough stuff. Maybe we'll do some other live stream eventually. I'm trying to do more of them. I just trying to keep the balance. So, what do you use? Oh, that's a whole thing. I use a flavor of everything. I got a Real Link NVR. I have Frigate running. I have Blue Iris running. But number one down to, I like to use the Amcrest Dahua camera line. They're just, the flexibility and compatibility with their codecs and their API and everything. 100% local, power over Ethernet. They have tons of different camera models. I stick with the Amcrest Dahua stuff. They're just, yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, whatever he's testing that week. Yeah, automations and Z2M extension. Yeah, that would be. And I haven't dug much into the extension stuff. I know there was. I probably don't want to say his name, but I was talking with someone that is working on, or they were trying to work on in their hobby time, is interfacing dev groups, Tasmota dev groups straight to Z2M. And so Zigbee to MQTT would kind of join up those dev groups so you could mesh your stuff between the Tasmota and Zigbee. So, yeah. I messed with Ubiquity cameras before. Not my thing. They were just way too priced, and I didn't want to get into their ecosystem. I wanted just straight RTSP and keeping that flexible. So, yeah, I would say my two main ones I use are Blue Iris, because I probably got, I think, about 16 cameras in there. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so I use Blue Iris for a lot of my main stuff, but see, this exact camera is also in Frigate as well. So because I have a zone like built in, like right in here, and that way when someone breaks that zone, then I'll get like a message, that someone's coming up to the door, etc. So, and this one, and that you're probably saying it looks a little washed out. Well, I have a wide dynamic range turned on because the freaking this. If I didn't have it turned on, this would just be black. The sun gets so bright out here, looking out this way, plus the shadow under here. It's amazing how well it does a job of showing both. So, but join the Discord. You're welcome to show off anything you want. The Discord's free. I don't lock that down by Patreon or nothing. You can share as long as Discord does not deem them as pornographic pictures. You're welcome to share them. We also have the Big Easy, but just as long as you keep it above anybody above 18 in there. So I think is what the community rules. That's that one you have to be above 18. So we call it the Big Easy channel. This one is a Core i7 6700. And you can see I'm running like 9% CPU right now. It's that down to that GPU offload and Blue Iris for that. So, yeah, it helps out tremendously. Let me see what other, if I could show, does it show, would I be able to show some of these? Yeah, I can show some of these. Yeah. So this is just some of my other ones I have out facing, and you can see it's not gonna be as smooth because they are just the smaller. The way you set this up is you want much like Frigate, you want the substreams to be for your smaller thumbnails, so you're not processing down that 4K footage, because this is a 4K, this is a 4K. I think this is 4 megapixels. That's what, 2K, I think. This is a 4K. This is a 4K. I think this is a 1080p. So, no, it's not a VM, because I didn't have a GPU on my Unraid box. So this and I didn't want to do it that way because it's cameras. I just run it bare metal. I want it to be, all it needs is power and network to run. It does not rely on anything else to run. And that way I can reboot servers, change stuff. It just runs on a little small form factor. So, yeah, if you want stuff for like Frigate, like is freaking awesome for that, for doing motion detection and stuff like that. For you want to do the Frigate stuff. And I always love this camera because it's fun to mess around with. So. But the zoom on it is insane. But once it clear, it'll focus in. So I think it's always pretty cool to see to play around. The PTZ cameras are. Why are you so green? It rains freaking every day. It's been for the past 2 weeks, it rains freaking every damn day. So, but being able to play around with the PTZ cameras are always fun. Let's see if I can look down over here. And this is down my street a good bit. Yeah. I must be pulling. I'm hitting the gutter. That's what I was getting at. So, yeah. So that's, you can see it's that zoom. This is only the 12x zoom too. There's a 25 or a 35 or something like that. But I really don't. I don't see the need for me to go up to a 35x zoom or whatever. So, let me see. Frigate stuff. Let me see. I know you. If you haven't seen the Frigate stuff, I want to see if I can pull up my Frigate without showing too much. Yeah. So this is Frigate on this one, that one camera, and so yeah. So it does the person and everything, and you can get all the different events. Where's the events on? Yeah. So yeah, you can see you get all the different people, the bicycles and the stuff like that, and you can set up all these into notifications and whatnot. And the frigate's freaking awesome. That's what you really want, a good person motion detection type stuff. Yeah, frigate's the way to go. Yeah, that camera is. I think that's like a $300 freaking camera. But yeah, don't I'm not saying you have to go out and buy one. And I always see that misconception of, hey, I want to get this PTZ camera. PTZ cameras are not meant to replace a fixed position. PTZs should supplement a fixed position. So if you got a coverage area, it should be covered by fixed cameras, because you're going to forget, move a camera over there or whatever. It's not going to be in the right direction. But you just do your fixed, and then you can supplement with your PTZ. Yeah, that's insane. The Ubiquiti ones, what they want for this was like Amcrest PTZ. Yeah, so this is a 2 megapixel. This one's a 25x. They do have a 4 megapixel, but see, I don't have the budget to do that 5. Now this one's very nice, but I just don't really have the need to buy a $900 PTZ camera. So you can do much more. So. You didn't see it, but we just did. Yeah, it is cool. They are cool. There makes some other ones. There's a Hikvision one that's pretty decent. I think it's 4 megapixel, and there's a couple different knockoffs. Yeah, and this is one that's Ampaviziz. I've done a review on this one. It was by Anki, which, Anki's just Hikvision. And it works pretty reliable, and I still use it today after a couple years. I use it on the other corner of my house, and that one's actually pretty neat, and it runs just straight regular PoE, and it's easy to mount up, no special mounts. So yeah. But so they're pretty neat. Is it better than Deep Stack? I'll say yeah. The frigate's better than Deep Stack if you can find. It's getting better. Is the Coral devices, whether it be PCIe or M.2. The USB ones are still hard to find, but you can now find the PCIe ones and stuff. So, yeah. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging around, and definitely a cool, interesting live chat. And hopefully you hit the like button if you like this one, and maybe a lot of people do see stuff. Maybe I gotta figure out some name I gotta change it to, because the man of the hour was here accidentally, so that was pretty cool. So, all right, well, y'all definitely if you want to hang out, go jump in the Discord. I'll be in there later and everything. And what were you saying? Yeah, just jump in the Discord, and we got more. There's a bunch of frigate users in there. It will answer all your questions, I promise. Lots of people love to show off frigate. It's that awesome. So, and where is I have no idea what I have loaded. We'll just roll it and see what happens, right? So what you're about to see is just not serious. It's all parody. If there's any resemblance to actual real characters, it's truly just a coincidence, I promise. This week on DigiBear DIY, we're going to show you how to get rid of your farmer's tan. Is this your shirt?
Yes. remote to transport the.
What the hell is even that?
I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what.
We have a reputation to uphold.
Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm backed up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload.
They're gonna get so butthurt over this video. And they're just gonna be like, oh my God, I just wanna put like all the bad comments in this video. And they're gonna be like, y'all shouldn't have done this, and it's horrible, and they're gonna be reporting the video even though we didn't show anything, and you had fun, right?
Yeah. And please don't call the cops.
To call the cops for what? We didn't do anything.
Like this bad video.
Told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up.